Do you like to make bundt cakes? We're gonna indulge in the sweetness of homemade deliciousness with this orange bundt cake recipe. This is stop number 25. We are somehow halfway through my 50 video series making all the state desserts in America. So let me know in the comments what state you think has the bundt cake as the state dessert. The recipe is in the description. I will also pin it in a comment for your ease and convenience. And before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can join me every week for new amazing recipes.
We're gonna start out with cake flour. So if you don't have cake flour, you can use all-purpose with cornstarch. This recipe uses 3 cups of cake flour, so you can measure out 3 cups of all-purpose, remove 6 tablespoons, and replace that with cornstarch, and boom, homemade cake flour. This also gets baking powder, baking soda, and salt that we're just gonna whisk together until nicely combined and set it aside. Now in a large bowl, we're gonna add some granulated sugar with softened unsalted butter, 3 sticks. This makes a big bundt, so you wanna use enough butter and sugar for this. Cream it for about 3 to 5 minutes until light and fluffy, and then we're gonna go in with 4 large eggs. It helps if the eggs are at room temperature, the mixture just comes together a little bit easier that way. So you wanna cream them together one at a time, then we're gonna go in with our flavoring. In this case, it's the zest of 1 navel orange, about a tablespoon's worth, and then a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Mix that until nicely combined, and then we're going to alternately add our dry mixture with 1 cup of buttermilk. We're going to do this in about 3 parts to make sure everything mixes evenly. And if you don't have buttermilk, you can use 1 cup of regular milk and then add in about a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, something acidic. The acidity of the buttermilk just reacts with the baking soda in this recipe to create a nice texture of the crumb of the cake. So after all of our mixture is combined, we're just going to mix it slowly until barely combined, and then finish this off with a spatula. I like to do that just to avoid over mixing the batter, because you can get a tough cake that way. So right when that flour is just absorbed, I go ahead and stop with the mixer and just finish off with a spatula. Now I have a 12-cup bundt pan. You can use whatever design you like, but I find that cooking spray often can be a little bit unreliable in these more intricately designed pans. So I like to brush softened butter all over the pan so I can really focus on each line and divot that the pan has. That way we know it's actually going to turn out of the pan. So once it's totally coated in butter, I'm going to add in some flour and tap the flour all around the pan to ensure it is completely coated. This is my foolproof way of just really knowing that the cake is actually going to turn out. There's nothing worse than putting in the time and effort to a bundt cake and it gets stuck in the pan. So we're going to scoop in our batter into the nicely prepared cake pan, and I like to spread it around with a spatula to ensure it's even, and then give it a good few taps on the counter to release any air bubbles. This is going to bake for between 60 to 70 minutes in a 350-degree oven, and to make sure it's done, make sure you insert a skewer all the way to the bottom of the pan to ensure it comes out clean. Let it cool in the pan for about 15 minutes before turning onto a cooling rack and cooling completely. Now this glaze is really simple. It's just 2 cups of powdered sugar with about 5 to 6 tablespoons of water until your glaze is the thickness you prefer. Just pour it all over and you have a beautiful bundt cake, my friends.
I don't make bundt cakes as often as I should because I have like 9 different bundt pans because I collected them and was obsessed at a certain point in my life. But every time I do, they are so exciting. I love how visually appealing they are. And if you guessed in the comments, this is the state dessert for Minnesota, according to my research at least. I love this recipe because the texture of the cake is so moist and delicious, perfect crumb on it. It's just stinking wonderful. Seriously, it is textural perfection. It's got an awesome orange flavor, not overpowering, but it's there. A little bit of extra sweetness from the glaze. And I can't believe we are somehow halfway through this series of making every state dessert in America, but make sure you stick around for the next 25 videos. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.